Just because you don't use social media does not mean that it is not relevant. Just because you don't spend hours and hours on it does not mean the rest of the world does not.
No one's actually takes time to understand the power of social, but it's where everyone lives.
That's where they are. That's where they spend their time.
Why are you putting stuff out there about a manufacturer and not your name, your brand, your individual reputation? Like
the name on the building, that's your brand. Who are your people? What is your culture? That's your brand.
Please don't unleash your people on social media without a plan.
So if you think you're going to jump in here in a week and you're going to sell a car, you're not. But what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is start doing CPR on your Facebook profile. We want to interrupt. We want to disrupt what you're doing, and we want to get our message in your daily consumption of social media. Your life is content, and so people are interested in peeking into your life. And so don't be afraid to let people see who you are.
You might inspire someone. The more you have that people can connect to, the more they want to connect to you.
So working the Facebook algorithm is not difficult. You got to remember, you got to serve the master, right? And if the master is Mark Zuckerberg, if we're talking Facebook, what does the master want? He wants.
Are you wasting your time and money on inefficiencies in the business? Are sales down and lead conversion rates are low? Are you having problems building or maintaining inventory levels? What does it really take to win in the automotive industry?
Get the cars that make sense for your store rather than just wishing at an auction. So it gives you that better control.
With over 25 years of experience, Daryl the Wolf Steed isn't just another industry voice. He's the guy who's out there solving real problems for dealers just like you.
They'll even say in the Pacific Northwest where you're at that it's a tougher market. It's, it's tougher to find cars. The market's a little bit softer. And in the midst of all this, your turn doubled and your profit's up 75%.
Yes.
The truth hurts only when it should. Are you ready to hear the truths? Daryl is here to unpack the hard truths and the proven strategies that will take your dealership from struggling to soaring. And he is taking it all in the streets, with real talk, open dialogue, unfiltered conversations. This is the podcast series, Street Smarts, powered by Smart Wolf Consulting.
Welcome back to another episode of Street Smarts powered by Smart Wolf Consulting. And this episode, guys, you might want to sit down, buckle up, because I can only imagine how off the rails this is going to go, because we have probably the most dynamic and direct personality on the show that I have had. And those are all good things, guys, because if I tell you that this person's got more energy and more direct than me, that just kind of tells you where we're going.
I was all into your pre-roll. I was like all watching the movie and I'm like, oh my God, Daryl's cool.
So we have Robin Wilson from Social Grenade and Epic BDC. And I wanted to bring her on, one, to just kind of talk about the industry, but two, she takes a very, we're going to say it's unique approach. It shouldn't be, but it is, because people do not understand the power of social media.
They don't.
And what it can do for you in not just the automotive industry, any industry, but we're going to focus there. And so I want to first say thank you, Robin, for coming on, because we're going to get into some stuff. And as we start every episode, a little different than everybody else, is we want to know, not in your career, but where are you winning in life?
I think in accomplishing goals, honestly. So not in work. When I think about that, like I think about like, what are the things that I want, like whenever I am thinking about chill and relax and whatever is that, what does that look like? And, we have always loved going to Costa Rica, and we've always talked about buying property down there. And then last year made it a reality, bought 13 acres down in Golfito. And I have one of the walls in my office is just all white glass, and I've just got stuff taped up there of like what I want that property to look like. And so I think that people don't know the difference between a wish and a goal has benchmarks, right? It has milestones that you get to that get you to that goal. And I think if I talk about where am I winning at in life, it's like knocking down those milestones to get to what the actual goal is.
That's great. And it's funny you say that, because I talk a lot about a goal or a wish is just a hope or a goal without a plan, right? It's just you. I really hope that I get there. I wish I get there. And you're like, okay, well, how are you gonna do that? I don't know, right? And so it's great that when you make those goals and then having that vision board, right? It's that daily reminder of like that's what I'm working for, whether it be family, goals, aspirations. I mean, it can be a lot of those things, but having that daily reminder is great because this is an industry where, let's get real, it's there's some trying times and people you work with, and so you have to have that vision at the end of it, right, to where you're going. Now the auto industry, it's seen its level of the roller coaster ride over the last couple of years. I mean, if you've been in it as long as I have, and like '08, when the financial crash happened, that was an unexpected wake up call for people. But the last couple of years has kind of been different because everyone kind of got put into fantasy land with the fake flu, aka COVID. And then, like the first time in 100 years, used cars appreciated. They actually went up in value. And I think people thought, like, oh my gosh, this is the new normal. And then they got a real brief cloud in the sky type of feeling, and then real sharp fall off the cliff.
And I don't know why they thought that was reality, because all of the rest of us were going, this is not going to last. This is not sustainable. This is not the real world. The market will correct itself.
Well, and I think it's because everyone, once it happened for more than 6 months, they were like, maybe, like you start convincing yourself, maybe this is the new normal. Because let's get real, if that would have been the new normal, I mean, no one really had to do anything. You just said, yeah, I have it, and people bought it. But we knew it was going to course correct. And where I think this is interesting into like what we see the market now is we've seen a lack or a drop off drastically. And this isn't my conjecture. This is something that has been not only proven, but been talked about now for the last years in talent of the sales aspect, right? Of like just the salespeople, managers, leadership, whatever it may be. Talent has dropped off because people kind of got like fat and lazy, so to say.
They forgot how to do their job.
And you have provided a solution, a tool, an educational and sales-based tool, right? Because it helps you learn and it helps you get more opportunities with Social Grenade. And where I find it very interesting is that's where we started off and introducing you, is like, it's unique because no one's actually like takes time to understand the power of social, but it's where everyone lives. I mean, we live in our phone, we live in these social apps, whether it be, I mean, we can go over the main ones, but I mean, now there's all these different iterations of this stuff depending on your age bracket. And what I find interesting is that I deal with dealers every day of the week talking about how they hate third-party leads and they're not effective and they cost droves of money. I mean, droves of money, right? From ICO to AccuTrade to AutoTrader to Cars.com to all these big things to drive traffic to you. And then there's this thing, the social media thing that they have ultimate control of, and it's free. And yes, you might need something like you have where there's a small investment because you just need to understand where you're putting and why you're putting it, because just blasting stuff out there, that's not effective. I mean, we
call that broadcast marketing, right? So that's like if you were driving down, like every town in America has MLK Jr. Drive, right? They all have Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard somewhere. And it's like if you just rolled down the window and you drove down the street and you're yelling, I got Versus for $199 a month. And you're just yelling at the crowd. And that's broadcasting, right? There's like no strategy behind it. You don't even know if these people have a driver's license. You don't know anything. You're just yelling at them what you have, like anybody gives a crap. Yep. And that's how they treat social media, is that way.
And it's funny you say that because like we're like, well, if we're posting stuff on there, right, then we're relevant. And it's like, okay, I mean, we'll let you live your life, right? We'll let you live your truth. We know that's not real. But then it's the funny ones to me that like, if I build a buying center, if I go into a store, I mean, how many years has Google been around now? And now they're starting to realize, oh, Google reviews they're important. Like they actually have weight, and they're starting to put iteration into that. But what is odd to me is when I go and find them on social, if they have it. Now that's the first thing. If they even have a presence, then it's like the manufacturer stuff. It's like the stuff the manufacturer sent them and they put it out there, and I'm like,
it's the media side and not the social side.
And where I kind of get thrown off on this is. And that's why I want to have you on here, because you can kind of educate people and kind of lay it down for them. Is if I have a salesperson, we won't even go into acquisition range, just a salesperson, and they don't talk about what they do
and where
friends,
they do
their
it,
family, and everything else. and they're not proud of what they do, then who would want to do business one with that business or that person?
Right.
But then more importantly is if you have social media as a dealership, and this is what really throws me off, is okay, let's say I'm a CDJR store. That's one of the toughest brands in the United States right now. And they want to put everything out there about CDJR. And I'm like, why are you putting stuff out there about a manufacturer and not your name, your brand, your individual reputation? Like, who cares that you sell Dodges? There's 9 other stores in the area that sell Dodges. What do you do? Who are you? What are you into? And so,
well, because they get confused with brand, right? They think their brand is Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep brand, that those are the brands. It is not. It's the name on the building. What's the name on the building? That's your brand. Who are your people? What is your culture? That's your brand.
yeah, because at the end of the day, I was talking to a group and they're like, when you see turnover, I mean, turnover could be a couple different things, but they said consumer experience could really be weighted and evaluated based on how you treat your people, because your people are a reflection of treatment.
100%.
And I said, well, that kind of goes hand in hand. Is if I treat my people really, really well, let's just assume I run the best operation in the country, but then I don't have anything on social media showing that experience, then how do people know about it without getting to like just magically falling into you?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's really interesting in understanding that, like when I do follow-up training and everything else, I mean, this device is no more than 2 feet away from anyone at any given time.
Ever.
And it's like, so how effective are you really in your business life when you're saying, I don't have 5 minutes to do something, like to tell people what I'm doing or to show a success story or whatever it may be. And now you've created a program with Social Grenade that not only addresses that, but it actually guides people on like what's relevant content, how to get to know you personally, because there has to be a personal feel. It can't just be all business, right?
Yep. Right. And so one of the things I'm getting ready to attack the boomers, right? And I am a boomer, so shut your damn mouths, right? So boomers, right? Just because you don't use social media does not mean that it is not relevant. Just because you don't spend hours and hours on it does not mean the rest of the world does not. If we look at worldwide, 3.2 billion daily users logging onto Facebook. In the US, 1.4 billion daily logins, daily. 1.4 billion. And so to go, oh, that's an irrelevant pool of people. It is not an irrelevant pool of people. That's where they are. That's where they spend their time. You're mad at them when they're at the stoplight because where are they? On Facebook. They're on social media. Where are they when they're in the restaurant? You're mad at them because they're not even looking at the person they're having dinner with. So I know who you are, boomer. You're sitting there judging them for the thing that they're doing. And you're not even recognizing and studying these humans and going, how do I get my message in the thing they're staring at? Don't be mad at them for what they're doing. Monopolize on it. That's what you should be doing. And so that's what we created in Social Grenade was like, how can I get these salespeople who have all of their social network is in social media, right? Where we used to hang out in the backyard over the fence talking or at the coffee shop or doing whatever boomers did. Then we don't do that anymore. So now we connect. Grandparents see the pictures of their grandkids on Snapchat or on Insta or wherever, right? That's how I get to see them because they live on the other side of the universe and they're not mailing me photos in the mail anymore. They're posting them and that's how I get them. I mean, that right there is my grandkids on my phone that my daughter-in-law posted online. I stole the picture and made it my cover photo, right? And so if we're not activating these salespeople, so think about the fact, we'll use a nice round number, 10 salespeople, right? Let's say we'll just be somewhere middle of the road. Let's say that each of them, if we go to look at their Facebook profile, have 1,000 friends or followers. Right now, the content that they're posting is probably getting to less than 1% of them. Right?
Yep.
It's getting to nowhere because nothing that they're doing is one of the 3 things: entertain, educate, or enlighten, right? Those are the things that it should be doing on social media. And if they're not doing those things, Facebook, the machine of Facebook, will not reward them with pushing into other people's newsfeed. That little piece of real estate in your phone when you're on Facebook, that piece of real estate when you're scrolling Facebook or Insta or Snapchat or wherever you hang out at, that real estate is prime real estate. And what we want to do is we want to get what they post in that newsfeed. Not just if you go to their profile, you will see what they did. We want to interrupt. We want to disrupt what you're doing, and we want to get our message in your daily consumption of social media. And so now can I go from 1% to 10%? Can I go from 10 people to 100 people seeing? As a matter of fact, I'm so excited because one of my salespeople today literally just posted on social. He's a salesperson on social that uses a social grenade app. And he was like, I'm so excited. I got my first post that went over 100 comments. He was so excited, right? And if we look at the reach on that, the reach is going to be so much bigger than that. But he had over 100 comments on a post that we recommended that he make, right? And what Facebook does whenever you get that, because you got to remember, you got to serve the master, right? And if the master is Mark Zuckerberg, if we're talking Facebook, what does the master want? He wants all of us to stay on his platform longer. And if I opened up Facebook today and all of the same stuff was in my newsfeed that was on there yesterday, I'm probably not logging on tomorrow because I've already seen all the stuff on there. Why would I? But if every time I swipe down and refresh it, it's a whole new entertainment puzzle, it's a whole new post that's there, then as long as content is going into that app, I will stay on there longer. If it's not, then I won't. And so if we can provide content, Daryl, that people will play with, they will slow down on it, they will comment on it, they will like it, they maybe will share it. Then there's like some numbers in there, and I don't know what the exact numbers are, but we're going to hypothetically use 10. So let's say that I make a post and 10 people comment on it, okay, and I reply to every comment. Now, if you look at the number on that post, the post says 20 comments. 10 uniques, 10 me, but they're not counting that. They're just counting the numbers, right? And so there's little benchmarks like with TikTok. Once you break over 200 views, then they push it out to a whole new audience, right? So Facebook has those numbers too. And then it just keeps going. So let's say that you have activated 10% of your network has seen your post, and then you cross over 20 comments on your post. And then they push it out to the rest of your network to see your post, right? The rest of the people that are your friends and family. Once you cross over 40, now they're going to your friends' friends, and you're getting reach beyond what you even have followers. And you may look at one of your posts and go, this post had 4,000 views on it. It had a reach of 4,000 when you only have 1,000 friends or followers on your Facebook profile.
Sure.
And it's because we have either entertained them, we have educated them, or we have brought them some sort of enlightenment or motivation. And so when dealing with salespeople, I don't want them sitting at church on Sunday and Ellen is sitting in front of them and Ellen is driving a brand new Kia and he's a Kia dealer and he's like, why didn't you come and see me? And she says, I didn't even know you still sold cars.
Yeah, and I think we see that a lot. And it's funny you say so. It's the engage, enlighten, and what's the other? Entertain. So the 3 E's, right? Is when you think about that too, is like, so a lot of like the training that I do is when you're responding to customers, we have gotten ourselves into a very bad habit of telling people, right? This is what I do. This is what I do. This is what I do. Oddly enough, I don't train like that. I ask them, I'm like, hey, how's things going? What would you improve? Where do you need help? Why'd you get a hold of me? Like, why do you think I could help you? Things like that. And the reason why is because then we can find out their motivations. But I also see that in social posting because you do a post and maybe it's a cool GIF, right? And you're just like, it's something funny, and that's fine because that's entertainment. But it's like when you post something, if you want comments, right? You're never asking a question. You're never doing anything. And the one that it always comes to my head every time. And you'll relate to this. I'll relate to this. My kids won't because they don't even know what one of these things are. But it's just a picture of a drive-in movie theater. And it says, what's the last movie you or what is this? And what's the last thing you saw on it? And you'll see all kinds of people going like, I have no idea. It's a billboard. It's a this. And I'm like, well, it's a drive-in movie theater, right? And then you think of the last movie that you saw on it, right? So it engages comments, right? Because again, like you said, you're feeding the master, the beast of, if they say you need comments, which I know, and it's not for social consumption in the sense of like business, but LinkedIn now is rating everything based on comments, right? So you can like and you can do all the little damn emojis on this thing. But if you don't get comments, they're like, it's not as relevant. And rightly so, because if you don't get comments, then someone can like.
I think it's kind of weighted, right? So I kind of break it into money, right? So people can understand that. So a like is worth $0.25. And a comment is worth 50 cents and a share is worth $1. So like, I just really break it down like that and go, okay, that's okay. But you gave me a quarter tip, and I really wanted that. I really wanted that dollar,
Well,
and so I always think about it like
if
that.
I don't share it, it's because I didn't think it was funny enough, or I
Yeah.
didn't think it was engaging, because I didn't feel right, because it's a feeling thing. There's no analytics. It's the feeling like I didn't feel I wanted to share it with other people, right? So I think it's interesting that now you've got this platform that salespeople. We even talked about like from acquisition that it could be tailored into acquisition too, because you guys can build that out. Is and I always tell dealers like, hey, you guys should be using your people in social media. That should be part of their job. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, now, when I say that though, it's to preface a conversation. They should reach out to you, because please don't unleash your people on social media without a plan. Because
Well, it's like if you let them sell cars without batteries, right?
yeah,
Why?
I mean,
Like, go sell that
so
car. I can't.
and they're like, well, our guys don't, they don't really do it. They don't know. And I'm like, well, I get it, because again, if they don't know what to send, I don't want them out there just unloading nonsense either. But I think it's one of those things is where I find your guys' innovation so great for dealers, and something that I think dealers just have to really think about is I hear all the time how they want to reduce their spend in like third party advertising and merchandising. And you have this tool, and you can boost stuff and everything else, but I'm going to jump into that because I want to know your opinion on something I watched. But if you're putting on posts and you're doing them effectively and they're getting engagement, they're going to build up their following, which then in turn is a extension of your brand, right? Or your business.
Exactly.
And it's like, and it costs near nothing, or you can go spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on Google or some other third-party advertising tool. And then even if you do that and you're spending all the money, you then still have to hope your people are doing all the other things to then generate traffic back. So,
right. So we think about the difference between third-party leads and what I call first-party leads.
Sure.
So first-party leads are your network of people. And back in the olden days, right? Like, not that long ago, we handed them a yellow legal pad when they started day one and said, write the names and phone numbers of every family member and friend that you have, because you're going to go through them and call each one of them and see if they're in the market for a vehicle. That's what they told you to do. And you would sit there with your pen all day long, writing this stupid list of people. And then you're like, oh my God, I have to call these people and I owe her $20. I don't want to call her. And so now social media is the way to do that. Right. And I think about first party warm leads, right? If I start a conversation with somebody on social, whether they're my friend or they're the friend of a friend, or they came to me somehow and I don't even know. And I'll tell you, I'm going to address this anomaly before we move on to first party leads, is like, think about the fact that you and I didn't meet face to face until NADA, right?
Yep.
And I think about all of the people that I know online that I've spoken to, or I've watched what they do. Like, I always use Adam Marburger as my example. Adam, I know, here's what I know about him. I know he lives in St. Louis, so he's 4 hours from me. I know that he bought a new house last year and had a pool put in. And I know that he has a studio where he trains people in martial arts, I think jujitsu. There's a lot of things that I know. He knows he has Ascent Dealer Services. He has a new product out that's helping dentists with insurance claims, whatever. And I know I know his girlfriend, Sylvia Lyons, is adorable. I know he's a girl dad. There's so much I know about him, right? And that we have connected so many times. And then I honest to God, didn't realize I had never met Adam face to face until NADA in Dallas. And we both we're both in, and he's like, are you going to be dead? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be there. And then we walked up to each other and he went, oh my God, have we never met face to face? And I'm like, no, because I would have remembered if I would have known that you were that tall. I didn't know you were that tall. And that's how I knew that I didn't know him, because I was so shocked that he was as tall as he is. And so think about that. That's our new reality. And so even if they're not your friends, like you go barbecue with them, or you go to the lake with them, or you play ball with them, or you go to church with them, they're connected to you online. And so can we build an environment of know, like, and trust by what you present on social, right? I would stay obviously away from politics and religion. Like, seriously, you're not going to convince anybody anyways. Please don't alienate the rest of them, for God's sake. But we talk about first party warm leads. So while the rest of the salespeople are chasing the up bus, and the up bus pulls up and somebody gets out of some vehicle, and here's what you don't know about them. You don't know if they're a 420 credit score or they're a 780 credit score. It's a grab bag full of crap. You don't know if that car they pulled up in is theirs, it's not theirs. They got a title loan on it, they're 10K flipped in it. You don't know anything. It literally is just like when I grew up in California, we used to go to Pismo Beach all the time. And my favorite thing to do was there was this rock and shell shop that was right on Pismo Beach. And I would go in there and for $2, I could buy a grab bag. $2. And I didn't know what was going to be inside when I opened it. It was going to be rocks, it was going to be shells, what was going to be in there. It didn't matter. It was $2. I was super excited. But now that's what the salespeople are playing. They're playing grab bag with the up bus. Whereas had that same customer came to you via social media because of one of your posts and went, you know what? I don't even know if you can help me. The conversation would have started probably in Facebook Messenger, and you would have found out those things. And had you found them out ahead of time, then when this customer pulled up on the lot this time, they would be coming in knowing they were not going to trade that vehicle and they were going to have to keep it. And they would be grandma with them because they needed a cosigner, and they would have made sure they had their tax return back. So they were going to need $1,000 down. And you wouldn't take 4 hours on a Saturday trying to find all of that crap out. You would have already found it out. You would have had 2 vehicles already lined up for them that would work. And now you got warm first party leads because you're starting these conversations on social, and people are a lot more brave in Messenger than face to face, experiencing the shame of what they have to tell you. So they'll only eke it out a little bit of a time because that's only the amount of judgment they can take is a little at a time. Whereas on a keyboard, they'll let you know everything, and then they'll close their eyes and go, what's he going to say? And then you can go, you know what? I helped somebody just like you last month. The same scenario. I think we can help, but give me a chance to try it for sure. And so then that's a warm first party lead that comes in, and now you can do something with them. And I wouldn't schedule them for a Saturday. I'd bring them in on a Friday, if I could, and work them that way, because it's going to take a while for finance to get their stuff all lined out and you get the right vehicle for them. But that's what's important about social, is that you're starting those conversations there. And then when they get to the dealership, you're not just literally waiting for that, grab bag full of crap.
Well, and it's funny you say that, right? Because I think there's something else too that kind of leads, like, we all know, and if we don't know, guys, we'll give you some education right now. The number one thing that customers complain about in the sales model, okay, isn't price. So if you were thinking price, you're like, haha, I know it's price. You're wrong. It's time.
Yes.
It's time. So when you're cooking them in that easy bake oven in the showroom and you're just letting them just melt, is how many people, if it's first party, refer a friend, family member, whatever it may be, when they come in there, is still sitting in your showroom for hours? If they are, good Lord, your process is broken. But if you handled it right through the social media avenue and the online setup to where you can do all those things, when they come in, this should be the most pleasurable experience in the world. I didn't say their score would be great. I didn't say their credit. Listen, that's a you problem. But what I can eliminate is this bad elongated experience. And the other thing I think is interesting is when you understand the power of social media, just like if you create first party leads, like if you create your own first party algorithm, is you're not shopping against anybody else. So when you have that focused conversation, right, then it's like all the noise, all the stuff that, let's get real, God knows what they're being told and what they're not being told, is that it gets clear. And it's funny you say that story about Adam. So I'm going to tell a parable story, okay? But we'll say it's real close. It's real close to home as I tell you this. So social media can be interpreted as a lot of different things. Think about if you haven't seen someone in years, 15, 20 years, and you can have SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram. I mean, there are levels of social media that are out there. And you can start a conversation with just a comment, or then they like your picture, or they engage with it. And then it grows from there. And I actually know a personal situation where 20 years of gap, okay, no contact. And then they started commenting on one thing and saying, hey, really cool this, really cool that. And then it was and that was a year or two. Then it was an exchange of 1 or 2 comments. Then it was a picture exchange. And then, 20 years later, actually meeting up and reuniting. And that's the power of social, because like you said, they're a lot more open or brave when they have that security of the internet behind, they're not in front of you. It's not
a bunker.
And so when you think about that, is we're talking about money, because I agree with you. Politics and religion. Listen, if you want to start an argument, throw something out there and see what happens, because that's what's going to happen. But even if you agree, there's probably going to be an argument. But when we talk about money, that is in a very uncomfortable subject for a lot of people, even people with it or without it. It doesn't much matter. They're like, if you don't have it, they're worried about talking about it. If they have a lot of it, they don't want to tell you they have a lot of it. So it kind of goes both ways. Is don't you want to have them as comfortable as possible when you talk about like financially how you're going to help them? Because this is a financial decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love the fact you do that. But the real thing that I like that when you guys are showing me and then the stuff I've seen you guys post and stores that are using this, it can't all be business.
Nope.
Right? Like if you think you're going to run a personal account and it's just going to be like, it's an extension of what I do every day. Well, your job isn't you. A job is what you do. But like you talked about your goal board, right? Like if all I saw you post was social grenade or this or that, to be like this, good Lord, does this person do anything other than work? Right?
Well, the truth is rarely.
and I do know that you probably don't do much for them work, but like you're at the gym and she's climbing the stair machine like a boss. By the way, that's ridiculous. Okay. Every time I see you post it, I'm like, no, thank you. And she's
I took some videos this morning, and it was funny because so just to interrupt, because your life is content, whether you believe it or not. Your life is content. And so people are interested in peeking into your life, right? Because they would just want to know a little bit more about you, because we all still crave that human connection. And that's a little human connection. And so I'm going to tell you, when old Boomer here was at the gym this morning and I'm having to do my bench presses, I'm like going, I'm going to video this. Like, it's probably not pretty because I don't even have any weights on it. The bar enough right now is heavy enough for me. Just like, good God, 7. I'm getting it up there, but you know what I'm saying? But that is content. And so don't be afraid to let people see who you are, because we all want to do business with another person.
Sure.
We don't want to do business with a business. Like, we don't go, oh my God, Total Chevrolet is the place. No, Ben at Total Chevrolet is the dude.
And it's funny you say that, because I tell people to do videos, right? Like it's in a follow-up. But not like, listen, don't be doing these huge production videos. No, do like every day the video. And the reason why is because if I see your face, right, 3 things I know are going to happen. 1, you're going to remind me of someone I didn't like. Oops. I'm going to remind you of someone I did like. Or they're going to see you and go, oh, he's just a regular person and I like him.
Yeah.
And the other part is if they see you do other things, the other thing I think people need to realize too in social, and why you want some of those, you need those personal things, is people like people for a lot of different reasons. It's not just because your voice sounds good or you look good or they like your job. Is you might inspire someone. For instance, we can laugh about it and you're doing the bar and you're like, the bar, I'm like, I can't, man, it's all I can do to push away. But then someone who doesn't lift weights or isn't maybe healthy, or maybe that's like where sees that and goes, man, if Robin can do it, right? Man, you know what? I'm going to keep grinding. And so then they get attached to you. They get that connection through something you're doing. I just saw this commercial, and I don't know who this person is, but I was mesmerized. So I went and saw it on social. It's this grandma was 70 years old, never done anything in her life. Like literally was just like, grandma, like putting around the house, like doing jam. And she decided she knew if she didn't start moving around, she was probably not going to live longer. She started lifting weights. She's like 74 now and like yoked. Like, I mean, just.
Is it Joan? Is her name Joan?
Yes.
Train with Joan. I was going to bring her up because you want to know what? Like,
and now I'm like this. I'm following her, and this woman's deadlifting 135. She's snatching bars, and you're like, and for me, it was more of a connection of, man, when I'm having those days where I'm like, hell no, I ain't working out. I'm tired. I go, yes, I've now lost any excuse, because if this 74-year-old woman is throwing weights every day, I can't sit there and say,
yeah,
I'm too tired or this or that. And
you'll see the videos of her when she first started, and she was this frumpy old woman, right? Yep. And she's sweating just to do a thing, right? And now she's like working out and competing on beaches, and she's like, I'm not even kidding you, like she has got a rock solid ass. I'm like jealous of that, because I'm like, what did Joan do to get that? I'm like, which video was that we get to?
Which workout do I need to incorporate into my routine?
Workout right there. And so it's true, right? So I like fell in love with Joan as well. And if you guys want to find her on Instagram, it's Train with Joan. She's amazing. Gosh. She's amazing.
Like, I'm never going to probably meet this lady. And if I do, great. But like, I'm instantly connected, because I'm like, wow, she's like, because that's motivation. Well, it's the same thing with what you do. If you see, and we talked about it. I mean, I know you've talked about it for years. I've talked about it. Okay, you sell a car to someone, take a picture, tag them, become friends with them. but mind you, that's what 15 years old now that we've been talking like that, and you still don't see
that's it's so transactional. The transaction has already happened. Are you just
but what I'm
doing
saying
it for social proof?
But that, like, and I'm saying just that piece, we're not even doing that, right? So that people can get their 15 minutes of fame, right? But if you do something or they see like, hey, like this is something you do and you work, they're going to be like, the more you have that people can connect to, the more they want to connect to you.
Right.
But if
And
you only show them the highlights but you don't show them everything else, like they're like, okay, well, I can show you like foodies. Perfect example. I love to hate them because they drive me bonkers because I'm like, listen, okay, you do not need to take a picture of every plate of food before you eat it. But they're like, I'm like, well, that's their whole feed. And I'm like, okay, so I know you like food. That's obvious.
But what else?
Yeah, what else? Like, who are you other than a foodie? Because please don't tell me you live your life around taking pictures of food. But it's like, don't give people one piece. Understand your vulnerability allows people to want to be in, like, they want to be part of that. And are you winning?
Yeah.
And I know this is going to be tough for some people because, like, if you are, let's say, Frumpy Fred, right? Like, that does nothing and is just like whatever. And he's like Eeyore who lost his tail. Yep. Okay, I'll be the first one to tell you, please don't post stuff because no one wants to surround themselves with Frumpy Fred. Right? Like they want to see you like working. You don't have to win, like in the sense of, oh, if you did a car deal and you don't win every time, they want to see that you work, that you're involved, that you do it. Like they don't want to go into someone that goes like this. Oh, another customer.
Not only that, but like being authentic, right? So who are you, right? You don't want to sell a version of yourself that you're not going to maintain.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm the world's biggest smart aleck. Like it is just naturally, I'm a smart aleck. And generally I'm wearing a snarky t-shirt, right? Like literally, I'm generally wearing, like I have so many of them. Eliana Raggio was like, let me see your shirt today. Let me see. And I have a drawer full of them. They're my favorite thing to wear. Like what mood am I in today? Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't hate you. I'm just too old to actually put this on my face that you're even entertaining me. You know what I'm saying? Like it'll be something like that. I actually wore that one day to work and I didn't know I was in charge of job interviews that day. And I had it on. I was like, crap.
You're like, oops.
Yeah, but be who you are, right? Like, so if, just for example, you know, if you are super spiritual as a person on social media and you're not super spiritual as a person in real life, like you're somebody else, you know, it's going to be transparent really early, right?
Sure.
Or if I were very polite and never cussed, online and then you meet me face to face, there's a good chance face to face I'm literally, without even thinking about it, going to throw some colorful language in there as a sentence enhancer. It's going to happen.
Sentence enhancer, I love it.
It is. And so like, I like to not surprise people. So just be authentic. And when you're posting, when you're creating your social media content, if you are a family person and you're not opposed to, I mean, if your kids are already on social, you're already like showing stuff about them anyways. Literally, we want to see that. We want to see that interaction between you and your kids. If you have pets, we want to see that engagement. I'm going to tell you the first thing that will take a car salesman off of the asshole list the fastest is show a picture of you and your big old sweetie dog. And they'll be like, oh my God, he's got a big old sweetie. He got me a jerk. Yeah. And then you'll be like, and now you've become human because you love and take care of a helpless animal. And so these things are really important through day-to-day life. The things that you do, use them. So I love these little tactics, right? So working the Facebook algorithm is not difficult. I came up with a new tribe the other day and I'm so excited about it. I wish somebody would do it just to prove it to me, right? So I like to create tribes on social media. And so to create a tribe, you literally speak to the audience that you want to attract. So for myself, right, if I were trying to attract, okay, I love this one right here. Okay, and anybody who sells Hyundais, don't get your panties all bunched up. It doesn't really matter. So the Hyundai Santa Cruz, right? If we think about the perfect buyer for the Hyundai Santa Cruz, right? Close your eyes and dream of it. It's a boomer. That's just who it is. That's who that vehicle is for, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. That is the replacement vehicle for the Subaru Baja or the Subaru Brat or the Honda Ridgeline. Like That's just who it is. They don't really need a truck because they can't get up in and out of it easily. They want something that's a vehicle, but they still want to pick up crap at a yard sale or go to Lowe's and pick up some plants, and they need that little bed. Like, that's who's buying the Santa Cruz. I'm just telling you, right? That's the audience. So if I had Santa Cruzes and I need to sell them, I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to go, what are some boomerisms? What are some things that boomers did that people that are Gen X's or millennials would not even know about, right? And so I'm going to set it up for you because this is exactly what I would do. I would go to the nearest Mexican restaurant that sells Mexican Cokes in a bottle. Okay. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to take about 3 swigs out of it. I'm going to set it down. And then I'm going to get a pack of peanuts and I'm going to start pouring it in the top of that Coke bottle.
Yeah.
100%. And you know what I'm going to be saying the entire time? Yeah, it's a boomer thing to do. Drop me some more of your boomer things that you did down below. I forgot what they all are. Just drop them down below. And they're going to start commenting. We put our cornbread in buttermilk. We put blah, blah, blah. We shoved the glass full of buttermilk cup, all of the things that boomers did. They're going to start
dropping a glass of milk,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we used to shove the cornbread in the glass and then pour the milk on top of it and then eat it with a spoon out of the glass.
Absolutely.
And so those things right there. So once those boomers start commenting on that post, because they're going to, because they want to teach everybody what a boomerism is about. What is the thing that made us cool? You know what I'm saying? And so now for the next 24 to 36 hours, I've sucked these boomers into my universe, right? I'm going to reply back to every one of them. I'm going to go, oh my God, I totally forgot all about them. I'm going to make a note of all these because I'm going to use them later. And then I'm going to post the picture of the Santa Cruz next, because all of these boomers are going to see it. And it's going to go, hey, boomer, come and get this car. Your yard sale needs a pickup. That there's things that need to be picked up in your neighborhood and you need this vehicle. Come get it. I'm going to speak back to them because I created them in my universe. I brought them in.
Sure.
And Facebook is honoring this group of people by giving them more of my content because they said, I'm interested in what she posts because they commented on my post, right? They maybe even have shared it. If I asked them to share it, they would. And so creating tribes is so important. If I were a salesperson, I would dominate you people. I swear I would, because I would go out and look what we had today for sale. And I'd go, woo, we have an overabundance of XYZ. Who are the people that buy Jeep Gladiators? Typically, who are they? Let's study who they are, and then let's speak to them today, and then serve them up a Jeep Gladiator tomorrow.
Well, and it's funny you say that too, because like when you're talking to them, when I'm hearing you say all this, right, and for salespeople, right, I hope you take this one takeaway away that I'm going to say, because take everything that Robin just gave you, but when you're doing follow-up, because I know it's how I know every salesman in the world is super excited about sitting in the meeting and doing follow-up and making phone calls and emails. I know it. It's your favorite part of the day. But when you're doing this, how cool would it be like you're creating something that you know people will actually respond rather than like, okay, Robin, I'll go do my email and my phone call and my text. And you're basically clicking a box with a, by the way, with an absolute shitty template that hasn't been changed in forever. But now you can say, okay, I've got this unique thing. They've responded based on this. And then when you write them back, you know they're going to respond because they've already engaged. Like, you know, they're guessing. They like what you're putting down. You don't have to guess at this. So I think it's interesting. Like, now I know what I'm about to say is going to be like heresy. Okay. It's going to be like, oh, how dare you. This does require that you do a little bit of work, guys. You actually have to like, I actually have to create something, whether you do a little PowerPoint slide or you like do a video of yourself, or you have to go to ChatGPT and take 45 seconds to type in a sentence and get some results. So yeah, you have to put in a little effort. But again, if I put in this effort and I start getting these tribes and start getting this audience and I start getting this, then do you need to be the guy who's out on the point chasing the, as you called it, the grab bag or the whatever they call it, the mystery bag of shit, so whatever it is? Exactly. Because it's almost like, and it's funny you say boomers, because one of the best salesperson I ever met, boomer generation, tail end of it, but he understood service drive, which is very much like a social media aspect. This guy never took an up, never took a lead. He worked the service drive and just came in and he was there from 7 to noon every day. That's it. Passed out, talked to people, everything else. And this guy, I kid you not, without fail, like if he missed a week, he still sold 30 cars. Because they knew if they wanted something, they were like, oh, I'll wait for, and they waited for them. Like, and he would come out, give him a cup of coffee, ask him this, ask him questions, say, you know what I'm going to do? when you guys come back, I'm just going to have a little thing ready for you guys, something for you to consider. And there was no sales pitch.
Right.
It was just consideration. And then when they said, you know what, I'm ready, no salesman in the world could get this customer to talk to him because they're like, no, I want Joey.
Yeah.
Like, and so it's like, yes, it takes a little bit of effort, but why would you want to work for hope when you engage with people that already like you?
Right.
And then grow that following, right? Because let's get real. If I sell you a car or I buy your car, either transaction, and you like me and we've engaged and there's connection, what are you going to do? You're going to share that story or you're going to share that experience. And more importantly, we know we can't track this, so I'm not going to sit there and say you can.
Yep.
But your word of mouth is going to get enhanced because people talk about people they like to do business with.
Everyone wants to have the guy, right? Who's the guy? Who's my guy?
Yeah.
And so like you're sitting around talking to people wherever you hang out at, and they're like, you know what? I'm getting ready to have to trade this vehicle in, blah, blah, blah. And somebody needs to go, I have a guy.
Sure.
And that guy needs to be the salesperson who's actually doing it right. So like within Social Grenade, we build pillars in there too, that are there to help the salesperson become the trusted advisor in the car buying process. So not just like, I'm going to post funny stuff, I'm going to post vehicles, but I also want you to post service tips. I want you to post things about gap insurance. I'm telling you right now that if the first time that customer hears about gap insurance is in the finance office, you have failed as a salesperson, because
100%.
most of these people right now are trading in vehicles that they bought in 2022. We know they're upside down. They're going to carry negative equity in. Why did you avoid this conversation? This is I think, malpractice. If you're letting a customer drive off the lot and you haven't already warmed them up before they went into the finance, before they go into the box, right? If you haven't already warmed them up to the fact that they really have got to consider putting gap insurance on here, because you and I both know you're upside down in this vehicle you're trading in, that's not just going to disappear. It's going to go on top of your loan, Mr. Car Buyer. And so the way to protect you in case you ever get in a wreck, I do not want you to have financial ruin, which is what they will have if they walk out without gap and get in a wreck, and the insurance company pays off the $25,000 loan, but not the $10K negative equity. What are they going to do? They're going to be left with this bill that they've got to figure out how to pay. And so I want our salespeople who use Social Grenade, I want them talking about gap, about any of the products that they feel like, whether it's a warranty, it's an extended warranty, whatever it is, I want them having those discussions now. If you knew how many people don't know that they're probably an ideal candidate for a lease because maybe their parents never leased and they just didn't know. And if you talk about their buying cycle, if they buy every 3 years, no matter what, and they're staying in this certain mileage right here, literally, why would they not lease? It's illogical. It's illogical to not even broach that. And those are pieces of content that can go out on social media. I tell this story all the time about like my tire rotation, right? Like I never knew how often I was supposed to have my tires rotated until I was in my 50s. And literally, I didn't know that there was like 7,500 miles. It's time to rotate your tires. When they would come to me in the service department and go, Miss Wilson, we just got through changing your oil and we think it's time to rotate your tires. And I would be all skeptical, like they're trying to screw me over. I'd like, how do you know? How do you know they need rotated? Like,
what do you mean they need to be rotated? These tires.
And where are you going to rotate them to? Like, you're just all going to go around. I don't even understand what you're doing that for. And so nobody ever took the time to explain that to me. As a salesperson, this is your golden hour to tell people, if you're running on synthetic oil and you call in to make an appointment for an oil change, let them know to rotate your tires at the same time, because they're due. They're due at the same time that your oil change is due.
Every time.
And so now they're not unprepared for that extra whatever dollar amount it is to get your tires rotated. They know I'm going to get my oil changed and my tires rotated. And I'm going to tell you, I have my Jeep. My lease is up. My 3-year lease is up in June. And just now, this last oil change, whenever I called to make the oil change appointment, the lady said, "Hey, we should probably rotate your tires too. So just going to let you know that, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Yes, thank you for finally saying that to me, because nobody has done it up to this point and nobody's even offered it up to this point. And you guys should have already." Yep. And so all of the things that we build into the app are to make you be that salesperson. And it's not just the app. So we send you a daily text reminder, because I know that I could create the world's greatest app. And if I don't remind you, you're not going to use it. You're going to get busy snickering windows or lot rodeo or whatever it is that you're going to do for the day, or holding down that piece of concrete, whatever it is. And so now I send you a daily text reminder that says, "Hey, Robin, today's a great day for you to go into Social Grenade and grab a piece of engaging content and then reply back to everybody who comments on that post. Stay with it all day long. The next day, if I've asked you to go into engaging, the next day should be a vehicle post. And I'm going to say, go out on your lot today and take a picture of an old age unit that your manager wants to move. Post that today. Use some strong verbiage and a call to action. And so the strategy behind it is entertain them today. They're going to play with you. And then tomorrow, give them the thing that you want them to see. And so then the third part of that is that we have ongoing social media training. So we have a Facebook group that if you are a subscriber to Social Grenade, you're in there with me. I put videos in there, trainings in there. We all share our successes and our wins in there. We make the team screenshot. Once we move them to professional mode on Facebook, we make them screenshot their analytics. And so like we saw somebody this past week that his increase in reach was 4,444%. We're like, that's pretty badass.
I'm sure that's translating into success as well, right? Or to results as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If I can get their reach further, I can get conversations started. If I can get conversations started, then I can get sales to happen.
Sure.
You just really have to have those conversations starting. And so that's what we're doing is we're taking them down that path. So if you think you're going to jump in here in a week and you're going to sell a car, you're not. But what we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is start doing CPR on your Facebook profile. And we're going to start giving it that nudge that it needs to be able to be alive again and start pushing into other people's news feeds. And then their awareness of you rises. The entire vibration of the dealership rises, because if we have 10 salespeople and 7 now are posting, now there are 7 people at your dealership, Mr. Dealer, who are talking about what they do and where they do it on the daily basis, where they weren't before. And so now they're getting noticed. And now his ad spend dollars are really like going further, because he's getting this organic content, this organic engagement. These warm first party leads are coming in through his salespeople now. And that's helped putting more steak on the table for the salespeople.
No, and it's funny you say that, because like, let's say we're spending, we'll just use round numbers, 50 grand a month on third party stuff, the cars, the auto traders, the car gurus, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
And you get Social Grenade, which is significantly less than that. And then all these guys get better at their social aspect and they're driving in traffic. You know, I know what the argument's going to be, which I'm not going to make for dealers because it's ridiculous. But if they're driving in more traffic, wouldn't you then analyze and say, like, maybe I don't need to have all the tier 1 premium stuff? Maybe like, or could I be more surgical? Because if your website and then your first party analytics is coming in stronger because your people are taken care of, they're engaged, they're doing this. And it's so funny to me that dealers always complain about how much they have to spend, but they don't ever look at how they can use their people. Now, I know why this is, because that means you'd have to take care of your people and treat them the right way. Otherwise, they leave. But if I'm investing in something that helps you build you and build your brand, isn't that the first step, right? Like, isn't that the first step of like, hey, I can't just change my culture overnight, but if I invest and help them get the right tools, right coaching, right training, that's like better than the industry as a whole. And it's like, then people are going to want to be there. Yeah, I learned how to do this. They let me do this. They actually encourage this. Rather than some companies, corporate companies and everything else, where you have to get approval to post anything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't even post personal related things because they're like, sorry, that's like, and I'm like, first off, like, I can never work for that company. There's no chance you're going to tell me what I can and can't do with my own social profile.
Right.
But I'm not saying post stuff that's stupid, but like when people are encouraging you, like, no, show you, be your own personality. You don't need to be a robot. You don't need to be what we think you are. You be who you are. Isn't that the first step of like empowering people to get the results you want? I mean, I would think, maybe I'm wrong, but
we like to think about it like the salespeople need to be entrepreneurs, right? So entrepreneurs are people who have a cushy job. Someone's covering this. Somebody's taking all of the risk. The dealer principal is paying the lease on the building, probably back to himself. He's paying for the insurance. He's paying for the inventory. He's doing all of this stuff right here, but he's giving you the opportunity to be your own business owner inside of it. With him taking all of the risk, you get to show up and sell his inventory. You get to show up and you don't have to turn the lights on. They're already turned on for you. There's already coffee in the pot, and you get to be in charge of how much money you make. A little bit of money, a lot of money, however you want to do it, right? And so that is so important that people will remember that part of it. And so one of the things, so I'll tell you some pushback that I get from dealers, and I'll tell you how I overcome it. One of the things they're like, well, we want them to post, and we want them to put the dealer's website on every post that they put out there. And I'm like, no, 100% no. And they're like, well, why not? I'm like, well, for one, so let's say that my cousin Bill decides to, and we're not really close, but he found me on Facebook and he's going to buy a vehicle. And we were chatting. And then he clicked on the link in my post that went to the website at which he went out to. And then he started chatting online with whoever the representative was that was talking to him from the website. It made it to the BDC. They set an appointment. He came in on my day off, bought a car from Joe. I never even knew he came here until I showed up at the family reunion. And here he is in a new vehicle. And all of it, none of it came back to me. I'm never using this app again. That's how it will happen. I said, so no is the answer. They're like, well, what if we give them all of this help and then they build up their profile, they go to work somewhere else? I'm like,
that's the argument that I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Oh no, I hear it. And I said, you know what? That's a culture problem and that's a you problem. That is not a me problem. So what if you don't give them any tools and they stay? And then they're just the same crappy people doing the same crappy job as before. Or maybe you have a better culture and you can get these people to be selling vehicles. Now, if they leave, they're not taking Social Grenade with them because that belongs to the dealership at that point. So,
sure.
So I've had all of those arguments already, and that's exactly how I counteract them. Like if you give them a tool and train them on how to do this thing and they leave, why did they leave? You know, people don't leave good jobs. So,
there's a study that I helped out with, and my good friend, she just got her doctorate, Jennifer Jackson Pravari, and she did it on millennials and the younger generation, because let's get real, boomers and Gen X, we just get our head kicked in and we just deal with it. But certain generations are more intra and more introverted and things of that nature. And she did this whole study on why people, like the quality of life, why they leave jobs in the automotive industry, because it's one of the highest turnover industries in the country. And, you know, and I was sharing this with a couple of dealers and they're like, oh, it's probably, they're always chasing the money. That was the last answer, was money.
For millennials, for sure. It's never that.
Culture. It was always schedule. It was always like communication. Like it was all the things that we probably would have crushed it had we had any of those things. But because for us, it was a money thing. Like it was, if you made good money, you were like, man, listen, there's shittier jobs, but this is really good money. Now they're like, I'll go get the shittier, like I'll go get another job for less money if it's got a better schedule, better quality of life, better culture,
cleaner bathrooms.
Yeah, cleaner bathrooms, more opportunity. But the funny thing you talked about, like when dealers say, well, what if they leave? And I challenged a dealer to this because I was like, forget your salespeople. I'm not even going to get into that semantical argument because that's just a philosophy problem. But I said, let's say you're leaders and you're like worried about training them and developing them because they will leave. Well, if I train you and I show you everything you need to know to be a GSM or a GM, but then there's no advancement here because like you keep your people, which is great if they're effective. Why would you ever be mad that that person has an opportunity to go somewhere else? If anything, right. I said
you should be so proud of them that you actually created something and threw it out into the world.
And you know what that person's going to do? Probably emulate it in most cases. But if not, they're going to say to, like, if someone came into their store now, you left because you got promoted somewhere else, you're running a store. They may not be able to run their store that way. Different ownership, different whatever else. You know what they're going to do? They're going to look at an employer or whatever else and say, you know what you should do? You should go apply over there. They would be a great place for you to start because they know that you're going to get trained.
Right.
Right. And so I always laughed. I'm like, I always was never worried about losing my job. I would like, I'm going to train you to do all this stuff because I looked at it two ways. If I lost my job to you, two things happened. One, you were way better at this than I was, and I deserve, then the dealer deserves to have someone better at the job. Two, it's because I'm being moved up and you're taking my job. Like you're replacing me because I'm moving, and I'm like, okay, I'm good with either one, or one of us moved on, right? Like where we moved to something else. And I was like,
but don't you think though with millennials too, like it's not only that you're training them and you're giving them the opportunity, but they want to be shown the road. What's the road to my success? What are my milestones or my benchmarks that I need to get to the place right here? And they may not want all the way up here, but they may want right here and then go, what are the things I got to do to get to right there? Because I still want this part of my life over here. And I don't want all of that, but I want this right here. But I think way too many employees, and myself included, employers, I think that sometimes we just forget to share our vision with them and even our vision for them. This is because you may have a vision for them and it doesn't align with them. Like they're like, I don't want all that. I want this. You know,
Well,
and so I have a really great guy that works for me right now that we've taken, and I know, and to say that he came from nothing, like he had a heavy criminal background, was on probation, couldn't drive a car. There was a lot of things against him in life right now that could have made him just this really stereotypical human, right?
sure.
But he had some moxie, he had some drive to him, and every time, and I promoted him and demoted him 4 times, I think in 1 year. Because like I would promote him and then he would abuse the power and think it was this. And I'm like, nope, get back down there. You're wrong. You have not learned enough lessons yet. And he never quit. He would literally he would take the sting for a couple of days and then he would text me this really long text message. You go, hey boss, so you said this blah, 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 blah thing. And I don't even understand what that means. Is there something I could read or some site I could go to that would help me understand more what you're talking about like that? And then when he would ask, I would give him the materials that he needed or the book that I thought he needed to read to help him be a better leader. And then he would do it. And then he would come back and he would go, like, it may be 3 months and he'd go, okay, I think I'm ready now, boss. And I'd go, okay, we try it again. And now Isaac is one of my managers. He runs my sales department. And he is, I'm going to tell you, like I was giving him a ride home in the wintertime when it gets really crappy around here, people still need to work. And so if they're afraid to drive, I just load them up in the Jeep and bring them to work. I just go get them, I bring them to work. And we were riding home one day and he's like, he always calls me boss. I'm like, I wish he wouldn't, but he just calls me. He's like, boss, you know, he's like, I'm getting ready to have to negotiate with my landlord on this lease of this house that I'm in, but the windows are really leaking cold air all the time. We're like having to tape them up. Do you think I could ask him to put new windows in? And I'm like, why don't you just buy your own house? And he goes, well, I can't buy my own house. And I'm like, why not? And he goes, I don't know. Can I? And I'm like, I don't know. What's your credit score? And he goes, well, I know, but like I've been in trouble with law. I'm not off probation yet, whatever. I'm like, that has nothing to do with whether you can buy a house or not. And so he's like, really? Do you think I could? I'm like, do you have somebody that works? I would call somebody in mortgage, have them get you pre-qualified. And it was like November at this point. And I said, by the time your tax return comes in, let's say that your credit score is below a 600 and you need to be at a 600 or a 620 to qualify for an FHA loan. I said, between now and the time you get your tax return back, you could have your credit score where you need it and you would have money for a down payment because it's like 3.5% down. And he's like, oh my gosh. And so he starts taking the steps, right? And then he gets pre-qualified for a house. And he literally owns his own house right now. He bought a house that year. And the thing is that if you don't understand their vision for themselves, how can you help them if you don't understand anything about them? And so for your salespeople, for the dealers, right? If you don't understand what they want out of life and you think they just want money, you're confused. Because I have an employee right now that like I offered her this big, huge bonus if we hit this one bogey. And she was just like, I don't care about that. I care. It causes me stress. I was having her do demos. It causes me stress to go into the closing part of it.
Sure.
Like, she couldn't make it even into a trial close. It caused her so much stress. And she's like, you could offer me $1 million right now. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking that step. I'm a presenter. I'm a performer. I am not a closer. I'm not a hunter. And she's like, I'm just not that person. And she was just like, it doesn't, and she goes, and I need money. So please understand that that's not that just will not motivate me to do this thing. And I'm like, okay, great. I need to find a different hunter, obviously.
Sure.
But you have to find out from them because we, of the Gen X and the boomers, we think everybody is motivated by money.
Sure. And I think it's funny you say that because like with the social side, right, you want to create that connection, but the connection's also on the human side. And, you know, I'll wrap it up and give you the final thoughts, but as dealers, anyone in industry, right, whether it's automotive, whether it's a business, is, like I talk about follow-up. And so typical follow-up, right, you have your email, your call, your text, right? Those are your 3 typical things. But then when you think about it, no, you have more than that, right? Then you have social mediums, assuming they have them, right? If you've made those connections. And so what I tell people is, especially with Social Grenade and creating that content and then making it, as you guys call it, set, detonate, and explode, right? Mm-hmm. Like the Social Grenade, is why as a dealer or as a business in any iteration, why would you limit your forms of communication to your buying public?
Oh my God,
right. Yeah. And when you have all these outlets, whether you use them or not, they are a outlet. And yes, it may take time to learn them, muscle memory and investing and things of that nature. But then you go one step further, and let's just take the millennials and Gen Z, right? Because the boomers and X, yeah, you should be in there. But the millennials and Gen Z, they're in there. They
Yeah.
live this all day long. And
100%.
they're 100% in there. It's like, why are you trying to make them communicate the way you want to when you have a much better success to commute the way they want to? Right? I just leave that question out there because it's like, guys, it's time to realize you don't have 10 or 15 years to get engaged with how people live their life, which if this wasn't invented, you could have done whatever you wanted for the rest of the time. But the moment this was invented with apps and social media, you have to. It's not you should. You have to get involved where people are at so that you become a relevant option.
Right.
So
We don't have phones with cords anymore, Boomer. We just don't. So quit thinking like that. Quit
yeah, they're
thinking
decoration
like you
now.
still have a cord on the handset, that goes to the kitchen and is 25 feet long. We don't have them.
So yeah, I just looked at a model house that still had a rotary phone on the wall, and I was like this. I was like, oh my god, it must be for decoration. And I went over to see if it worked, and it was just decoration. But so obviously, I really, you guys, listen. We hope with Street Smarts that you learned at least one thing today. I've done a couple of podcasts with products, 4 to be exact. And the reason why I don't do a lot of them is because I think there's a lot of stuff out there that, one, it's not worth your money, your time, or your investment. But more importantly, if it doesn't help you invent or help your people engage or educate them, then it's not an investment, it's an expense, right? And this is an investment because, like, as you see the thing on the screen right now, set, detonate, and explode. I just like those 3 words of like, listen, you said it, right? Build the process, detonate it, let it start working, right? And explode into the market. I just think it's fantastic. Not to mention, I love their logo. But guys, when you're looking at Social Grenade, really take a real good look at how are you handling your social media? Can you find you? Would you respond to you? Would you look at you? Or are you still using the same tired manufacturer bullshit as your guys' way of drawing people to you? Well, guess what? I know what the lease is. It's on every TV station ever. So seeing it on social media doesn't make me more likely to buy.
Preach.
If I don't know your people, then I promise you I'm not doing business with you.
Yep.
So any burning thoughts, desires, things you want to say, Robin, as we wrap things up?
I just really want everyone to understand that this is, other than the cost of the app, this is free marketing, right? And one of the things you said earlier too, like about their third-party leads, what if they took their worst performing third-party leads and took that money away? And let's say that you took that money, you invested in Social Grenade, and whatever was left over, you gave your top performers to Boost Post to be able to boost their own off their profile, because they can now. They can use their profile as a marketing machine. What if you did that? How much further would you get in attributable leads that come in, and then you would be giving your salespeople so much more meat on the bone of what they do every day. And so those are just things to think of. I know that there are some lead sources out there they just keep paying for and they can't attribute one sale to them. Then why?
Yeah. Well, you guys, hopefully that was about the best mic drop you can get, is what if you actually put money in something that worked. Let's wrap it up there. So you guys, if you have any questions, comments, you want to just troll Robin or I as this comes out, go ahead. We love all the comments, as we once said, and you can share it anywhere you want. We're going to wrap things up until the next episode of Street Smarts powered by Smart Wolf Consulting, and hope you enjoyed your time. Stay with me for just 1 second, Robin.